Hello there, people of YouTube land. Once again, it is I, the Zombie Messiah, and I have a question to pose to all of you wonderful, wonderful viewers. Do you remember when games used to be good? Well, games are good now. Well, games are good. We wouldn't be playing them if they weren't. But do you remember when they used to be really good? Now, I'm pretty sure you guys have noticed, but the gameplay that's on the screen at the moment is from Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered. A game that was around during the time that I myself used to play Call of Duty. I started off with World at War, and then made my way forward with Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops, then Black Ops. I skipped out Modern Warfare 3 and instead went on to Black Ops 2. But I then went back and played the original Modern Warfare, and it was actually the Modern Warfare game that I could actually like. But anyway, I chose this game to be the gameplay for this video because in my mind it's the perfect example of what I call good games going bad. Now what I mean by this is games or game series that are good and people really fucking like, embracing customer unfriendly practices such as microtransactions and season passes. Now, Call of Duty fell victim to the season pass craze ages ago. Back when even single player games for some reason needed a season pass. Yeah, no one really gets it either. But yeah, so there was this whole time where even single player games used to require season passes for the DLC, and there were also some aspects of the game that you could only unlock if you had access to the season pass. But what's happened? At the lead of this charge was Call of Duty, and I'm from England, and Call of Duty is one of the most played franchises. So, as you can tell, people were easily suckered into the idea of also getting a season pass. And then in recent years, they started adding microtransactions to Call of Duty. Around this time, I stopped playing, but it's easy to see that people actually bought the microtransactions because they haven't even gone away. I mean, seriously, this is a remaster for a game that came out all the way back in 2005, 2006. And it has microtransactions in it that weren't there before. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get the usual rhetoric from people who back microtransactions. Oh, they're optional. You don't have to buy them. But I think I already covered this in the video. But microtransactions, either way you put it, are not a good thing. Mostly because they ruin progression. They tend to break balance. Well, in Call of Duty's case, they break balancing because there are certain guns that you can get that are incredibly over fucking powered that you can only access if you decide to cough up money for the microtransactions. And honestly, I am really fucking sick of it at this point. So much to the point that I've actually made it a personal objective that if I ever get a game that has microtransactions, I'm not going to buy the microtransactions. The only loot crates or rec packs or whatever there are that I will open are ones that I get for free by playing the game. Because I paid because I paid money for a game, I am I am going to play the game to get the things that the game contain. And so far that's actually been going quite well. Oh, especially with games like Overwatch, I keep playing, I keep getting loot crates, and I keep hoping that I can get the stuff that I want. But then, that's another problem with microtransactions, especially with things like loot crates. It's all random number generated bullshit. And for the, he's basically what that means is it's basically a legalized form of gambling. This is basic. Loot crates are basically a publisher's way of taking advantage of of the people in its audience who can't who don't know when to quit. These the same sort of people who would go to a casino, and the only way they would leave is broke. That's it. And even then, they'd probably try to win their money back. Now, I don't know if I have to tell you that, but it sounds pretty scummy when you hear it in those terms. But honestly, that's really what it is. And here's the thing. It's in most games people people really like, such as Call of Duty, Halo, and even Overwatch has it. Overwatch's microtransactions are the ones that I've been hearing the most in defense for, mainly due to the fact that they're cosmetic. But yeah, they still take advantage of people who don't know when to stop, the betting. It, in fact, although I understand that publishers need to get their money back because game development is gradually becoming more and more expensive. However, if there's one model that I think works, is it's the one that Ninja Theory has set for Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, where they released a full game for not $60 American, but $30 American, a more reasonable and affordable price, and no microtransactions. What you see in the game is what you get in the game, and honestly, it's actually made me think of a way that publishers could quite easily get their money back if they charged less for games, like say the same sort of $30 mark that Senua's Sacrifice is going for. Then that could encourage more people to buy the game because they wouldn't be spending as much on what could be considered a risky purchase. Because one of the problems with gaming at the moment is actually the cost for a game, and then publishers want to go ahead and add microtransactions and paid DLC. and in some cases like Call of Duty, they actually implement both. Whereas if they charged less for the base game and have toned down versions of the microtransactions or the paid DLC, then I honestly don't see why more people would buy games. Because think about it like this. With a lower price for the finished project, or for the finished product, more people would buy the game. In some cases, they would probably end up buying multiple copies, if they have multiple systems, and that translates to more money for the publishers. So they would probably have an easier time making their money back and also reaching the absurdly high sales figures that they need in order to make bank, or in order to make back the money that they need, that they spent to make the game. It's a perfectly logical solution. The only problem is everyone is under this whole thought umbrella of, yeah, everyone should charge less for games. Well, everyone should charge less for their games, except for me, because my games are so special that they are worth the full price. And these are the games that usually end up selling poorly, because their hubris pretty much tends to make it so that less people buy the game because of the full price. Whereas if they charged at least half the price for a full game, then people would most likely be more inclined to be adventurous and buy a game from a franchise that they've never played before, or even pick up a game from a new IP. It's just the full price model. The full price model for games is something that definitely needs to go away, especially with the advent of digital downloads. Because I still find it kind of absurd that you have to pay the same price for a full release game with a disc and with all sorts of added guff on it for a digital download. And I mean, sure, they do add some things to the digital downloads to make it worth the full price, but still, it's not worth that much. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you guys liked what you saw, then please be sure to leave a like, comment, don't forget to subscribe, and you can support me financially on my Patreon if you want to. This has been the Zombie Messiah returning to the crypt, and I will see you guys next